Your name, your address, and your phone number are floating around the internet. Easy for strangers, scammers, and companies you've never heard of to find. Data brokers and shady databases collect and sell your private details to anyone willing to pay, putting you at risk of nonstop spam, scams, and fraud. You can't stop them from collecting data, but you can control who gets to keep it. That's why I use Incogni. They remove your private information from more than 420 of these sites automatically. And with their unlimited plan, you get total coverage. If you spot your personal details anywhere else online, just send them the link, and their privacy experts will get it taken down. It's the easiest, most complete way to protect yourself and personal life. Right now, you can lock in 60% off with my exclusive deal at privacykim.com. Go to privacykim.com right now and start protecting your privacy. This is so important. Privacykim.com. That's privacykim.com.
Welcome to the Kim Commando Show podcast for the weekend of September 23rd, 2023. Thank you for being a community member. Here's hour one.
I'm going to kick off this hour of the show with a PSA of sorts. There's a weird scam that's spreading. Listen to this. A woman was minding her business, just putting gas into her truck at a gas station. And this guy comes to her and says, "Oh, a beautiful woman like you should not be pumping your own gas." And she's like, "Nah, it's okay. I got it." He said, No. I'm a gentleman. Let me help you out, and I will pump the gas for you. I mean, you don't want to ruin your great outfit, do you? And she's like, No, I got it. He said, "No, I insist. I am going to pump the gas for you." She's like, "All right, okay." So then she goes home, and suddenly she gets an alert from her bank that she spent $168 at that gas station. Well, here's what the deal is. It's a new scam called pump switching. The scammer who wants to pump the gas for you, yeah, he's stealing from you. They never put the nozzle back, and they end up putting gas in their own car. So if somebody offers to pump gas for you, just say, "Nope, I have this, stay away." You know, speaking of gas stations, do you remember when you were a kid and you would either walk your bike or carry your bike over to a local gas station because maybe, the bike tires needed some air? Well, it's not free anymore. It costs like $1.50. And I asked the gas station attendant why, and he just said one word: inflation. Oh, I heard you laugh there. Hey, listen, on that happy note, you're about ready to get more tech smarts because every single thing is now a tech thing. And to those of you joining us for the first time, a warm welcome to you. We're just thrilled to have you aboard. And if you're a lawyer listener, welcome back. You look amazing, darling, because after all, I'm Kim Commando, America's digital goddess, here with you. It's the biggest show. It's the most trusted show about all things digital. You can find my award-winning show on over 420 top radio stations throughout the United States. And we're streaming in your favorite radio app. Just search for my last name, Commando. And you can find us as a commercial-free podcast and webcast over inside the Commando community. And you get a 30-day free trial. You can sign up right now over at commando.com and just hit that big old button that says Commando Community. And a huge hello and salute goes out to all of our listeners on the American Forces Network Radio, reaching over 375,000 U.S. service members, serving in 175 countries. And I just love this. 200 ships at sea get the Kim Commando Show. And I know that you have a few questions about something digital I can lend a hand to. I mean, come on. That's why our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. And if you're just too shy to come on a big-time radio show and podcast, hey, I get that. You can always drop me your questions over at the website. That's commando.com with a K, of course. And there's a link that says email Kim. I read every single note that you send me there. Again, that's commando.com with a K. All right, just for you, I check out 35 different websites every single day to make sure that both of us are up to date on all things digital. And here are the top 5 things that you need to know about tech that's happening right now. Now, I'm sure you've heard the story all over the news this past week that in the skies of South Carolina, it was just a crazy story, wasn't it? A pilot had to eject himself from an F-35 after it went haywire. Now, the F-35 on autopilot just kept flying without anybody in there. It was missing until later it was found it just crashed. So what exactly happened? Well, a question is quietly being asked by the Department of Defense, the Marine Corps, and some tight-lipped military pilots. Was our new $80 million F-35 stealth fighter, was it hacked? Now, here's another question. Why did it take a whole day for them to find it? The government will only say that the fighter had some sort of malfunction, and they don't want to say what the malfunction was. Now, the big fear is that with thousands of the aircraft's computer chips manufactured in Taiwan, which is riddled with, you know who, Chinese spies, could those chips be compromised? Now, if all this sounds like a spy novel, it is. I don't know if you've ever read this book. It's fascinating. It's called Ghost Fleet. It was written by P.W. Singer back in 2015. It asked the question, could China paralyze our high-tech military to actually win a war? And now the question has suddenly become real. Once again, that book, it's called Ghost Fleet. It's really a great read. All right, number 2 on our list is open your mind for just a minute. Imagine having this little computer chip right inside your brain that could cure disease or just enhance your quality of life. That's the promise of Elon Musk's other company called Neuralink. Now, it just got the thumbs up from the FDA for trials, and now they're on the lookout for volunteers, people who are maybe quadriplegic and they have a reliable caregiver. Those are the 2 requirements. So Elon Musk tweeted out that the first human patient will soon receive this Neuralink device. Now, what is it? It's coin-sized and it plugs directly into your brain, and it uses what's called a BMI. This BMI stands for brain-machine interface. It's powered by a lithium-ion battery, very, very thin wires that listen and talk to your brain cells. Almost looks like they're having their own conversation. So signals that the Neuralink device picks up are sent to a special computer that understands what your brain is trying to do or say, and it turns those thoughts into actions. So a person who's paralyzed could text just by thinking about what they want to say. Really amazing stuff. So if you or someone you know wants to volunteer, the form is over on the Neuralink website. Number 3, this happened in an airplane bathroom, as if it's not gross enough. On a flight from North Carolina to Boston, a 14-year-old girl needed to use the potty. Well, weirdly, a male crew member stops her and says, "Oh no, don't use this one. Go to the first class restroom." He says there's something about a broken toilet seat, but it's okay to use. So she heads in, does her business, but as she's about to flush, she notices a sign made of stickers saying, "Seat broken," right there on the toilet lid. A camera phone with the flash on was there, hidden behind the sign. So she snapped a photo of the setup, and obviously it was there to record her. She showed the picture to her parents. They rushed back to the bathroom. The phone was gone. And so when they take the pic, they take it right over to the pilot, and they have to show him. So fast forward to them landing. Police are waiting at the gate. The FBI is stepping in. Isn't that just gross? It is. Number 4 on our list, is that a 5-star review or is it a fake review? Now, that's the old question when you go to Yelp, because some reviews are genuine, some of them aren't. So Yelp is no stranger to dealing with fake reviews. They've actually flagged, they say, thousands of businesses that were caught red-handed, manipulating ratings, hiring people to write reviews, the whole shebango. So now it's putting out a list of all of them, index that lists the U.S. businesses that have at some point dabbled in suspicious activities, what they say. It's a new feature called Consumer Alerts on their trust and safety page. You have the power to pull up a business's entire rap sheet. What you do is you click on one of the businesses on the list. It shows you the evidence that it has. I mean, how they're trying to manipulate reviews. It's kind of cool that they're calling them out. Unless it's a fake review at an Indian restaurant. Why? Because we all like a little non-fiction. Oh, yes. Finally, this. Coming in at number 5. What is Mr. Rooster really trying to say? What is it? Or when a Miss Hens is like, "Bok, bok, bok," what's the deal? Well, thanks to artificial intelligence, scientists over in Japan, they have gotten to the bottom of this. And they claim that AI can now figure out if a chicken is happy, sad, or even scared with an 80% accuracy rate. See? You never thought that AI would be useful. So they released a few clips, and we're going to play a game. We're going to guess the chicken's mood, okay? And let's start with track number 1. Okay, let's hear it one more time. Okay, AI says that is a happy chicken. Okay, track number 2. Ooh, that's a hungry chicken, in case you couldn't figure that out. Let's see, track number 3. Okay. AI says that's just a tired chicken. That's what AI says. And finally, this one coming in at number 4. Okay. That's a chicken in pain. Okay. Never thought we would know this, but again, because of technology and AI, we now do. Ugh. All right, let's start with Matt in Cottonwood, California. Hi there, Matt. Glad to have you with us.
I have a 16-year-old daughter that's getting ready to drive, and I'm one of those crazy parents that have not given their kids cell phones yet.
Ooh, you know what? You've held out. Wow.
Yeah, I have. Yeah. So she doesn't have a cell phone yet, and she's getting ready to drive, and I want a cell phone that does not have internet ability and does not have the availability to have social media apps. So my dilemma is where I live, I don't have cell signal. So all of our calls at home are made on Wi-Fi. Mm-hmm. And so is there a flip phone I can get that will be able to accomplish this? Or is there software I can download to a smartphone to be able to make it a dumb phone, but still make calls on Wi-Fi?
Okay, I'm gonna throw you a curveball. Okay, she's 16. She's gonna go to college in 2 years. I don't know about you, but when I went to college, there were those kids that went crazy. You know the ones I'm talking about. That the parents kept them so sheltered that when they went out on their own, they were the worst. I mean, I had kids that their parents were vegans, and then the first thing they did, they went to McDonald's for 2 weeks in a row. Or the parents said, you're not going to drink, and we don't drink. And then all of a sudden, they're at the frat parties and throwing up the next day. Now, I don't know your daughter. I don't know your family. But what I would rather you do is that you give her a phone and you teach her to be a good digital citizen. And you teach her the rules of the road now, just like she's learning to drive, so that when she does go out on her own and she is a self-sustaining adult, that she has the tools and the knowledge to make the right decisions and not to be taken by the scammers and stalkers and creepos and everybody else on the internet, because nobody taught her the right and the wrong way to handle a phone. See, if you take everything away from her, you're not teaching her. And a phone is going to be with her entire life. Now, I'm not saying that you give her a phone and you go, oh, here, sweetheart, daddy loves you. Let me know how you're doing with your phone 2 weeks from now. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, here, sweetie, dad's going to give you a phone and I'm going to lock it down certain ways until I think that you are knowledgeable enough to use this. And let's talk about how much time we're going to spend on our phone every day. And what's the main purpose of a phone? And of having a phone is not a rite of passage. You're not getting this just because you turned 16. You're getting this because I think that you're mature enough to handle it right now. And I'm going to teach you how to use it the right way. So we're not going to use the phone at dinner time. If I tell you that to put your phone away, then I expect that phone to be put away and I want it on the kitchen counter. I need to know every one of your passwords. And I'm going to know exactly what you're doing on that phone. If I see anything that's done inappropriately or wrong, then I'm going to take that phone away. And let's talk about everything else on this phone, okay? There's social media. There are people who are going to pretend that they're 18 years old and that they think you're beautiful and they want to meet you. You don't talk to strangers. You may see things online that you wish you've never seen. Then you need to tell me about that so we can talk about how to block that content. And why did you go there in the first place? If somebody asks you to send them a naked picture, I know that sounds strange, but they're out there. You're not going to send any naked pictures. Okay. Yeah. Because this is what they're faced with now. And you want her to have internet because if she gets in a car accident, you want an automatic notification if she can't reach her phone. And you're not going to get those capabilities with a flip phone. You're just not going to get it. So rather than just cutting her off at the knees, what I want you to do is to monitor her text messages. I want you to monitor her social media. And I want you to get alerts. If a word or something pops up Then you know it's there. She can't change the parental controls. You get real-time location tracking. You could say, I want to know when she leaves the house. I want an alert. I want to know when she leaves school. I want to know when she gets to work. I want to know when she comes home.
So how do we do that?
Exactly. That's the solution. Now, the solution is a few ways. Number one, you get an Android phone, and I can send you all the steps. You set up restricted profiles. You disable unwanted apps. You can disable Wi-Fi. You can turn off App Store access. There's something called Safe Search. You can only search for certain things. And then you can also use Family Link, where you set time limits. You can lock the device at specific times. You can approve apps, hide apps. And there's something called Norton Family you can put on a phone. If you're looking for a phone for your teenager, just like I talked about monitoring and tamper-proof and location tracking and screen limits, there's only one, and I wish I could tell you that there were three, but it's called the Bark phone, and I'm going to send you a link to it, okay?
Right.
And it looks like a really nice Android phone, which is, you know what I like about that, too, is that she's not going to look like a freak carrying a flip phone.
Well, she's looked like a freak without a phone for her entire life. So all of her friends know that her dad, that incidentally works in law enforcement, and sees the... Okay,
now I know where you're coming from. I understand, because if you're in law enforcement, you've seen all the lowest of the low, and you know what's out there, and nobody is going to hurt your baby. But we want to teach her to handle the bad people, because she's going to run into them. You can only protect her so much. And when she's 18, 19, 20, I want to make sure that she's smart. And that's where you come in, and that's where you monitor everything that she does. And she knows you're going to monitor her. I mean, she knows that. It's a given, okay? But I think I really want you to look at the Bark phone. It's like $50 a month, and it does everything that I said. They're not a sponsor of the show. How I got introduced to them, they're a sponsor in our free newsletter. So you may see the link in there. But I have a family member who's in a similar situation. She's the eldest of 6 kids, and Dad's pretty bent on not giving her a phone. Explained to him just what I explained to you. Now she's got this phone, and he feels pretty confident that she's learning how to be a good digital citizen and a safe digital citizen. So, Matt, check out the Bark phone, and then I'll also send you know what? I'm going to send you Maddie's screening today. We're going to send you all the steps that it takes to lock down an Android phone. But also I'm going to send you a link to that Bark phone. But I think it's perfect for you. I really do. And thank you for your call. I know we're all sitting here saying, how did this dad not give his teenager a phone and she's 16 years old? Wow, isn't that something? And before we go back to all of your phone calls, now, if your car is just sitting in your garage or your driveway, what you might want to do is consider renting it out to tourists or someone else who just needs a car as a side hustle. It's a good way to make money for kind of doing nothing at all. I recently rented a car for a few days in Miami. Rather than going the traditional route of renting a car at the airport, I used Turo. And it was actually super sweet. The car was delivered to my hotel. It was clean both inside and out, and it was cheaper a day than those big name car rental companies. You know what I'm talking about. So if you list your car for rent on Turo, you can keep anywhere from 60 to 90% of the fees collected, depending on the insurance car protection plan that you select. Now, another site that works like Turo is called Get Around. Next up, Uber drivers. Yeah, they need a fairly recent car. And if you have one that works, Hire Drivers for you. Hire is HYRE, by the way. And your take is 75 to 85% of the car's rental fee. All right, let's see who's up next. Brady in Austin, Texas. Hi there, Brady.
Well, I've been listening to your show for probably better than 20 years, and I finally have a situation where I need some help.
Awesome.
I had an older Galaxy phone that I lost the night before I needed to leave town, and I have to be able to communicate. And so I went to the store and was going to try to replace it with a Galaxy. They didn't have one, so I took whatever they had. It's very suboptimal, and so in the meantime, I do want to get a Galaxy. But when I started doing research on, I guess, the current ones, is the cameras have these huge megapixel sizes, which tells me that the file size of those photos is going to be pretty large.
Yeah, that's always been it seems like every phone, it's like now it's 12 megapixel, now it's 20, now it's 48 megapixel, right. And it's kind of strange to think about it like that.
So I have this thing that I do where I do a lot of inspections and I have to take pictures, and I don't need incredible detail. I just need to be able to kind of document whatever it is, and then I have to upload it to these websites. And some of these sizes, the file sizes now are so large that either website won't take it, or I have to kind of crop it down to get the file size down, or it either takes forever or it won't accept it at all. Yeah. And so I was trying to figure out if there's some kind of I'm messing around with this phone that I have. I couldn't see a setting, and I don't know if there's some kind of wholesale way to do it, or a setting in the phone, or if there's some kind of, I don't know if it's an app or whatever that I could do to in a wholesale way, not one at a time, preferably, to change the file sizes.
Usually somewhere inside the camera app, Brady, if you go into settings, and that will be that gear icon, what I want you to do is look for a picture size, or it could be a resolution. And from there, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be able to select a lower setting, just because you said it's like, oh my gosh, when I try to email this, it's just too big. It's taking too long. And of course, you can always crop that picture and lower the resolution to 75 or 150 DPI. But that becomes a bit of a hassle. So if you're looking for like a one-stop shop, it's going to be inside the camera setting, and that's where we're going to look for resolution or picture size. And, and it's interesting because so often we want these high resolutions so that this way we can do all the edits, or we're going to shoot in RAW, which those files are just huge. Just humongous. But there are times when we just need a lower resolution. Like for example, if you're only going to be looking at a picture on the screen, 150 DPI is great, maybe even 75 DPI. Now, if you're going to be printing it, that's when you want 300 DPI. If you're going to be scanning it, maybe you do 600 DPI, but really there's no reason to have anything higher than that unless you're going to be doing really high-res prints. If you're going to be doing high-res prints, then that's what you're looking for. But again, just look in that camera app, and I bet you're going to have a way to just lower that down just right there, right inside the menus. Hey, Brady, thank you for your call. Now, if you're sitting there listening like, oh, I wish I could do that on my iPhone, Kim Commando, not just on an Android. Well, there isn't a direct setting within the camera app to lower the resolution on an iPhone. So you can download a third-party app to do this, and that allows you to manually set the photo's resolution. Apps like Pro Camera can do that. You can also edit the resolution afterwards. You're just going to open up the photo, select Edit, and then you can crop it down. And there also are options that says image size or reduce photo size. Now, this sounds a little old school, but it actually works. Now, whenever you attach a photo to the Mail app and you try to send it, if it's super big, you're going to be prompted to select it in a smaller file size. So you have small, medium, and large. So if you're taking photos and it's a high resolution, but you're like, I just need this one, on a lower resolution, you can always just email that photo to yourself at a smaller size. And yeah, that's an insider secret that works every single time. All right, so you've been eyeballing the new iPhones or the new Pixels or whatever is out there, and you're like, what do I have to do with my old phone to make sure that all of my personal data is gone for good? Well, you have a couple of steps. Number one, you want to back up your device first, because think about this. Your phone contains your entire life, doesn't it? Your pictures, your videos, your contacts. It's all stored in this one piece of tech. And losing it could be devastating. So it's always a good idea to have a backup. Over on the website, we have the exact steps to do this if you're on iPhone, Samsung, or on a Google Pixel. And then once it's backed up, that's when you want to do a complete factory reset. Because this way, all your personal stuff is just gone into the intergalactic bit bucket. And again, in this tip, we're going to tell you the best way to do it. But it's generally under the settings menu, and it's going to say transfer or reset the phone. And then those are the steps that you'll find, again, over on the website. You also want to protect your personal information. Head over to your iCloud or Google Drive, because you want to make sure that you manually unlink that. You want to clean up your device. Yeah, it can be pretty gross. And we want to make sure that all the grit and the grime and, let's just face it, you used your phone on the potty, so there might be some other weird stuff on there. And in order to check the value of your device, you can check Apple's current trade-in program. You can also use something like Gazelle or Declutter. And don't forget that Amazon will also take your goods, your old phones and tablets or whatever, also as trade-in. You get some Amazon gift cards in return. So in case you want to check this out, because you need all those steps, hey, we totally have your back. Head over to commando.com. There's a big old option there that says Show Pics, and just click right there. Let's see, Bob in Worcester, Massachusetts. You're up next.
Well, I'm a traveling salesman, so I'm on the road an awful lot. Actually, I'm at a show right now myself working. But rent cars a lot on the road, and recently I was, in a car, and all these other people's data pops up when you're plug in your phone, and it wants to download everything. And I've always said no,
Right.
but I recently just traded in my truck. My wife needed a new car, and I said, okay, yeah, I'm going to trade it in. And suddenly, when I got in my next rental vehicle and all that stuff popped up, I went, oh, my God, how much of that stuff is still on my truck that I just traded in to the dealer? And that's sort of my question. I'm trying to find out how much data is there. And even though I called GM OnStar and I said, can you delete all that? They said yes. And I still wonder whether they really could or can't. And I'm, it's one of those things. I've been following you for a long time. Thought it'd be a perfect question. You'd be the perfect person for it.
Well, thank you, Bob. Well, as you are so astute in noting, is that when you do plug your phone into a rental car, all of a sudden you see other people's data, right?
Yep.
And that's why I've always recommended that when you take your phone out of that rental car, is that you make sure that you do a factory reset or at least delete your data, because this way, whoever gets in the car next, they're going to have access to everything. So what kind of data is there? Well, of course, your phone contacts, right? Your call logs.
Yep. Right.
Any type of navigation data, especially if you set certain locations to be work and home, okay? Then they have your home address, any type of mobile apps, Wi-Fi network information, even the codes to your garage doors. Now, there is a law that if you do sell a used car and it does have data on the inside, is that that dealer has to make sure that data is all removed and erased. And there's a website called the Vehicle Privacy Report. And it's interesting to me. This is a company this is how they make their money, is by making sure that any used car doesn't have the data installed in it when it gets sold again. But when you go to their website, what I think is so fascinating is that you can type in your make and model and year of your car, and then you can see what type of data that car is tracking about you. So it's kind of working on the flip side. So if you're concerned about your new car and you want to see what it's tracking, you can go ahead and go to that website. We have a link to it over at commando.com, but it's the Vehicle Privacy Report. But it's a really good question, Bob, because, where is your data going? And, people at OnStar, they did say that they removed it. I would feel pretty safe that they have removed it because, again, we do have that law put into play that they do have to do a complete factory reset. Because when we think about it, what are our cars nowadays? What are they, Bob?
They're giant computers. I mean, we're driving on, computer on wheels is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. And, and every car has at least 1,400 microprocessors. And it's kind of remarkable when you think about it. Like, even this morning I jumped in my husband's car and it's like, and automatically it came up and it said, you're not Barry. And I thought, you know what? They probably are weighing the seat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because how else would they know that it wasn't, my husband? So it was just, so it's, sometimes it's discerning and you're like, oh, what's going on? But then other times it's like, okay, I do like those lane avoidance detectors and those alarms. Yep. I do like to have my garage door code in there. I do like to have Apple CarPlay and all my apps, and I do like to be able to have navigation data. And so, with all convenience, unfortunately, comes a lack of privacy. And so what are all these automakers doing with this data? Oh, you're so smart. You get to go to the bonus round. Is they're selling it and making money. Yes, that's what they're doing. Bob, thank you for your call today. Hey, that website that I mentioned is vehicleprivacyreport.com. Once again, that's vehicleprivacyreport.com. Sue in Holly Springs, North Carolina.
Oh, I'm excited. From one of your newsletters, which I read every day, you had something about a guest network for your different things that you have in your house, rather than putting it through the same network. Now, I have an Asus RT AC5300. It's about 6 years old, but it seems to still work really well. But I have CASA, which is the TP-Link units for turning on lights on and off, and Blink. I have 10 units on the Blink, and I have 5 Alexa units on.
Well, you know what? You're just wired and fired over there, Sue. That's awesome.
I know. At one time, I was an early adopter of everything, and that's what happened is I'm, getting older and the brain's not working as well. And
No, I don't know. You know what? You can use that excuse on somebody else. Okay, it's not. I'm not falling for this crap. I mean, I'm older, Kim, and I can't think, and my memory's gone, and I've got 22 devices on my network. No, doesn't go together. Let me tell you what you need. First of all, a router that's 6 years old, too old. Okay. Probably isn't getting the right firmware updates anymore. You can try to see if it does. So the whole idea with the guest network is that we're going to put all your Internet of Things on a separate network so that if, in fact, one of them gets hacked, it doesn't get to your primary network and all your important files that are on that network. So I'm going to send you a link to the newer router that will work with everything that you have. And it also has a guest network. And, we're on Wi-Fi 6 now. I don't know what you're on, but it's probably not there anymore. Now, did you say you had a TP-Link? Did you have a TP-Link?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. So what I want you to do is, Maddie, I know you're screening today. Give Sue the link to that TP-Link AX5400. That's the model number. TP-Link AX5400. Well, I want you to get a 5400. It's a Wi-Fi 6 router. And it's about, it's about $600 or, no, not $600. I'm sorry. It's about $160. And so it's got USB ports for media sharing. It's got some AV parental controls are free. But I like that it will work with all your other existing TP-Links. 6 years on a router, folks. Time to like turn it in and get a new one, especially if it's not getting any more firmware updates. And Sue, thank you for your call. Such a great question. Hey, wherever you get your podcasts, make sure you check out my podcast, Kim Komando, because not only do we have Kim Komando today, that's Monday through Friday, and each podcast is about 30 minutes. So it's perfect if you're going on a walk or run, just getting some chores done, or maybe you're going on a drive. But we also have our daily tech update, and this one's growing like crazy. You don't want to miss this one, because every single day you get two things. You get the top news story in just a minute, and you get a top digital tech life tip that you're going to use time and time again. So wherever you get your podcast, make sure you search for Komando with a K. You want to get Kim Komando today and also our daily tech update. And if you are already loving our podcast, do me a huge favor and make sure that you give us a great 5-star review and say a kind word or two about the podcast, because that helps more people find our podcast. All right, the safest airplane seat. Now, according to research from Harvard, flying in the U.S., Europe, and Australia is way safer than driving a car. But let's say you still can't shake that fear of flying. You're booking your ticket online. You're staring at that seating chart saying, where should I sit? Well, Doug Dury, a professor at Central Queensland University, did all the serious number crunching. And what he found is super interesting. Now, you remember what your answer was? The aisle seats at the back of the plane, those are your go-to. If something does happen, and again, chances are super low, the fatality rate for those seats is around 28%. So the next time you're booking a flight, I want you to remember these words. Aisle seat, back of the plane. You want to be on the aisle in the very back of the plane. Hey, on that note, make sure that you tell 3 friends about the Kim Komando Show, because knowledge is power. If you own a home, listen up. This is scary. The FBI is warning about a crime on the rise, home title theft. And it doesn't happen the way you might think. No break-ins, no stolen keys, just a forged signature on a single piece of paper filed with the county. In minutes, criminals can transfer the title out of your name, then use your ownership to drain your equity or even sell your home. The worst part, most people don't know what's happening until they get collection or foreclosure notices in the mail. That's why I trust Home Title Lock. When you visit HometitleLock.com/Kim, you'll get a free title history report and a 14-day free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection, including 24/7 monitoring of your home's title, urgent alerts to changes, and if fraud does happen. Their U.S.-based restoration team will work to restore your title, covering costs up to $1 million. Don't wait. Protect your home and equity today. Get your free 14-day trial at HometitleLock.com/Kim. That's HometitleLock.com/Kim.
Thank you for listening. Here is hour 2.
I always like to kick things off with something interesting, and X, formerly known as Twitter, has a big bot problem. Yeah, I didn't say big butt, I said a big bot problem. Turns out that people's DMs are getting totally bombarded with all sorts of spammy requests, from super attractive women saying, "Oh, I love you, you're the man of my dreams," to too good to be true job offers and just tons and tons of crypto scams. So how is Elon Musk going to solve this big bot problem? He says you may have to pay to tweet in the new world. He said a small monthly payment is coming soon. And he said that was the only way they could think of to combat, in his words, vast armies of bots. Ugh, right? I mean, are we going to really pay to tweet? Oh, I'm already paying $8 a month for that stupid blue check mark. But anyway, for anyone in a relationship, I want you to take notes from Twitter. Introducing an ex after many years is never a good idea. Oh, yeah, that was a good one. After all, I'm Kim Commando, America's digital goddess. It's the biggest show. It's the best show. It's the most trusted show about everything digital. And you're about ready to get more tech smarts because everything's now a tech thing. For those tuning in the first time, a warm welcome to you and delighted to have you join us. And to our regular listeners, it's great to see your smiling face. Now, you can find my show across 420 fantastic stations here in the United States. And if you want to listen on your own time, not a problem. Just open up your favorite radio app and search for my last name, Commando. Or better yet, join the Commando community. These are just a group of great guys and gals. You're going to love them. And we have our interactive chat. We have our message boards. But there's more. You also get the podcast as the webcast commercial free. And yes, I did say commercial free. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, my show is just a click away. And by the way, you can join that community by heading to the official homepage of the show. That's Commando with a K, of course. And then you want to hit the button that says community. And there's a 30-day free trial over inside the Commando community. And then we have discounts for everyone. I think so. I think everyone just gets a discount. We should just lower the price. But seniors, and let's see, we have emergency responders, military, vets, teachers, service personnel. Everybody gets a discount. That's what I'm saying. And a special shout out goes to all of our listeners on the American Forces Network Radio, serving more than 375,000 American servicemen and women. And the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marine Corps, the Coast Guard, and the Space Force in 175 different countries. And I know that you have a few questions about something digital I can lend a hand to. And our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. And just a quick reminder, you can always drop me your questions over on our website. That's commando.com with a K, of course. All right, it's my labor of love just for you guys and gals. Every single day I go to at least 35 different websites. And here are the top 5 things you need to know that's happening with tech right now. And let's start with one of the highest rated regular scheduled TV shows. What do you think it is? Okay, it's been around for a long time. Let me tell you, it's 60 Minutes. It pulls in about 8 million viewers. Actually, any show that can get between 2 and 3 million viewers is actually a success. So how did 30 million people watch Apple unveil a new iPhone? Okay, it's really think about that. 30 million people just watched the live stream. When Steve Jobs died about 12 years ago, many said Apple, the magic was gone. Okay, but more people are tuning into streaming broadcast to get a glimpse of a new iPhone than, get this, the NBA playoff game or the World Series final game combined. Okay, we talk about iPhone and Androids, but rarely talk about a Samsung Galaxy, a Motorola Razr, a Google Pixel. Even after all these years with more than 30 different models, if it's not an iPhone, no one seems to care. So let me tell you, Apple, the magic isn't gone. Now, for those of you who are even thinking about writing to me right now on the website or posting something on social, Kim Commando only says good things about Apple because they pay advertising on her show. They've never been an advertiser on the show. They are not an advertiser on the show. And if you're listening and you work for Apple, we'd love to have you as an advertiser. All right, number 2, the first place you go when you're sick, you go online, but you don't want to go to TikTok. 1 in 5 go to TikTok for medical device. 33% of Gen Zers, they trust TikTok more than their doctor. Researchers from Ohio State University saw that TikTok's cancer-related content is mostly misleading and dramatically inaccurate. 73% of it is just wrong. Okay, so do not go to TikTok for medical advice. Number 3 in our list, I want you to think about this just for a moment. If you died suddenly, would you be embarrassed if anyone looked at your search history? Yeah, those late night questions that pop up, like how to spell croissant, or maybe you're hunting down that true first love of your life 20 or 30 years ago. Or you're looking up some weird thing that only you know that you do, and you'd be embarrassed if somebody knew that you were even thinking about doing this or you do this. Okay, there's a new web browser for you, Opera GEX. It's got a trick up its sleeve. Here's how it works. If you don't open Opera GEX for 2 weeks, it figures out, well, you might have died, or heaven forbid, you went to another browser. And that's when this brilliant Fake My History tool just pops up. So let's say you search for, is it normal to shower only once every 2 weeks? Well, if you don't open the browser, it's going to change it to, do you think showering maybe 5 to 7 times a week is just too much? Yeah, that's what it does. Number 4 on our list of 5 things is I use Google Maps all the time. Now, have you ever driven down a road that Google Maps may have missed? Yeah, it happens more than you think, even with 10 million miles already covered in Street View. And now Google says, we need your help. So if you're the adventurous type, you love to explore, Google has just the thing for you. It's called the Road Mapper tool. And this is where you join challenges to draw on those missing roads, especially busy areas that for some reason are not on Google Maps. It's not just fixing a map. Maybe you improve local business visibility or you help emergency services. Now, it's an invite-only gig, but you can apply to get in as a volunteer. We've got the link over on our website. And finally, this is really interesting to me. Runners don't want to wear a smartwatch. What's going on? That's right. GPS heart rate watches first appeared in the late 80s. They were then in the early 2000s. You had Garmin and Sunto and others. They couldn't produce them fast enough because it records your location, your distance, your speed, duration, of course, your heart rate. Just took the whole world by storm. But I read about this in the New York Times. Today, the world's top runners don't want to have a smartwatch. They say it makes their running seem like work. And I can totally relate this. So how does a competitive runner stay competitive? They estimate. They know what their time should be for a 1 hour run. They write it down. They have weekly handwritten workout sheets. They don't even use Excel. And it's all in 3-ring binders. And then handheld calculators do all the math. And for the best runners, old school is just the way that they're going, which reminds me of, why does Finland have the best runners in the world? Why does Finland have the best runners in the world? Anyone? Because they finish first. Oh, but all right, I'm going to go straight to the point. Our next guest here on the show is Mo Kennedy, and she accidentally ingested one of her Apple AirPods, and it landed her in the hospital for 9 hours. She had to have an emergency endoscopy. Now, I'm sure you're like, how in the world did that happen? Well, that's why Mo is here. And Mo, we're so glad that you're okay. So what happened?
So it was, a lot of people are like, oh, you must have had it, you were listening to something before bed and it like fell in your mouth, right? And I'm like, oh, I wish, because I actually was dreaming and it was like super vivid dreaming. And all of a sudden I like came to, and it was 3 a.m. and I had my AirPod case in one hand. And then I was just kind of like in this like, oh my gosh, what just happened? Because I was dreaming that I swallowed one, or I picked it up and swallowed it. And when I woke up, it was like halfway down my throat.
Oh my gosh. Was it lodged? Like, were you having trouble breathing at that point?
Not trouble breathing necessarily. It was almost like I was just feeling like I had to like choke it down almost. I mean, it was like my first instinct was to just like swallow it. I'm like, oh, what is that? Swallow it. And then I finally was like coming to, and I was like, oh God.
And so you only swallowed one, right? Just want to make sure.
Yeah. Oh,
okay. Do you remember what the dream was about? I mean, I've never had a dream where I swallowed an AirPod ever.
Me either. And I mean, I'm sure everyone else is thinking, like, oh my gosh, what a dream. Like, that's the most bizarre thing. I'm like, yeah, it is. And then imagine it actually happening.
So you have this AirPod trying to swallow it. And then did you drink water, or did you say, I just have to go to the emergency room?
Well, so I started kind of like thinking to myself, like, did that really happen? And then once I was like looking in my hand, I'm like, okay, there's only one AirPod in there. It's had to have been like reality at that point. And so I started panicking and I started trying to throw it up because I was like, oh man, if I actually swallowed that, I want to get it out.
Right.
And then I started Googling because I couldn't get it out. And I started Googling things. And most of it was like, oh, your dog swallowed your AirPod, what to do now, you know? So there was, I mean, I finally got to like one person who was like, oh yeah, like this has happened to me. I was like, oh, thank God. And they were like, but it passed naturally and blah, blah, blah. And then there were comments that were like, well, doesn't like, or don't your AirPod Pros have magnets in them and like battery? And then I was like, all right,
I'm going to
like,
die. I'm going to
freaking
die.
out. Yeah, I was
Yes.
like, this is it for me. I'm going to die. 26, swallowed an AirPod. That's it. So I started panicking and I was actually at my mom's house and I ran into her room and woke her up and I was like, oh my God, you're not going to believe this. But I just swallowed my AirPod. We have to go to the ER. And she was like, are you sleepwalking? Like, what's going on? And I was like, nope, I'm being 100% serious.
And then
So we decided to go.
what did the ER doc say?
Well, first he was like, this is the first for me. And I was like, yeah, me too. But they just kept saying, are you sure you swallowed it? And I was like, I'm pretty sure because I was tracking it by that point on my phone. And it said like AirPod Pros with you. And then it was like the right one is out of its case.
Oh,
and I was like, yeah.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
like, I know it's out of its case.
Oh gosh.
So that I was pretty certain at that point. But they just said, you know, okay, don't drink anything because in the ER it was like a couple hour wait, but they did like the triage and everything. So they hooked me up with an IV, everything like that. And they didn't say to not drink any water, but I was so thirsty. And so I'm like chugging water. And then after probably like an hour, I was thinking to myself, like, is that bad? Like,
Right.
It's an electronic device inside of me and I'm just like chugging water now. But so they took me back and everyone was laughing because I was laughing. And I was like, you guys can laugh. I know this is like the stupidest thing that's ever happened, but here I am.
Now, did it still work when it was in your stomach?
It was. So, which was the most bizarre part because I had my mom call it because I could still track it on my phone. So I knew it was still on or still, working. But so I answered and like on my phone, I answered and she could hear like my stomach sound.
Gosh.
And then she could hear me like laughing, which was so bizarre. But I mean, it was hysterical everyone in that waiting room was laughing with us because it was just like, what in the world is going on?
Because you wouldn't think that you'd be able to still hear, and the fact that would be a little disheartening when you go to like the Find My list and you see AirPods and you're like, yep, there it is.
Yep. I'm like, yep.
There it is inside. So obviously you're okay.
Yes.
What happened to the AirPod?
So I still have it, but I went back and they did a CT scan and an X-ray, but they didn't see it on the X-ray. But then the CT scan came up, and the nurse that was working with me, he was awesome. He was laughing, and he's like, "Do you want to see it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And so he pulls it up, and he's like scrolling, and he's like, "There she is." I'm like, "Oh, in all her glory, yep, there she is." And we're sitting there, and all of a sudden, like the other doctor comes in and he's like, yeah, so we have an ambulance coming just because we want to get you in and out. And I was like, for what? And they were like, oh, like we need to get that out. Because I had been saying, I really want it out, but I don't want to do like, I don't feel like I need any kind of like big, crazy surgery.
You're not going to cut me open for this.
Exactly. I'm like, come on. But they were like, well, it's just like a simple procedure, but where it is, and we're not positive that it's going to come out on its own, which I was like, darn it. But I mean, honestly, I'd rather it come out, front end, but
yes, exactly.
So they took me in the ambulance, which I was like, because I didn't want to, I'm like, that's expensive, right? But it was fine. They took me in, got me right in, and they were like pushing me in the stretcher through the ER, and it was like packed. And I felt horrible because I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope like all these people are probably like, oh no, like she's got to go to like an emergency surgery. Like, hope she's okay. And I'm like, oh my God, no, it's just I swallowed an AirPod in my sleep. It was so bad. But
So they got the AirPod out. Does it work now?
it does. It does work.
Okay. Well, a lesson to all of our viewers and listeners for sure. Thanks for telling your story, Mo. It's frightening, isn't it, to think that you could swallow an AirPod, and then end up in the ER? No, thank you. All right, let's switch gears just a little bit. We're going to talk about Microsoft Word and PowerPoint. And these are some big files. And a lot of times they're super huge because of the photos inside of a document or a slideshow. Now, here's the deal, is that you can have the files compress all the images inside a Word doc or a PowerPoint presentation. Now, if you lower the image's resolution, you compress them, is that it still looks great on the screen. So you don't have to do this for every image inside a document or slideshow. Now, that's the secret. Both Word and PowerPoint, they're going to compress the images automatically. Now, for the exact steps on how to do this, here's what you do. In Word or PowerPoint in the help, just search for the phrase compress pictures. Once again, that's compress pictures. Makes it so easy if you have to email these files out. Again, compress pictures. And before we go back to all of your phone calls, just real quick, if you own a Wise security cam, I really want you to listen up. Because recently, owners were able to see webcam feeds that weren't theirs. Yeah, here's what happened. Wise cam owners logged into this portal on the web, and then the comments just started flooding in like, I don't know why, but I'm seeing somebody else's camera. Now, Wise told The Verge it only happened for about 30 minutes. I guess that's like saying I'm only a little bit pregnant. But what this breach makes something perfectly clear is that you should probably check your Wise cam if you don't want anyone spying on you. You also want to practice good security cam hygiene. Be sure that you go in there and set up any type of automatic updates to your cam's firmware. Of course, strong passwords and two-factor authentication if your camera can do that. All right, let's see. David in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Hello there, David.
We have a television station, DBTV, and we post social media multiple times a day, showing clips and what's coming up and all that. And everybody loves what we're posting, but it seems to be the same 60, 75 people all the time who respond to the post. So I'm wondering what we need to do to get other eyes on our social media.
You know, it's a fascinating question because just because you built it doesn't mean that they come. And with the algorithms, it's hard to break out of that mold. And so do you get our newsletters?
Yes.
Okay. Do you get them now?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember what they used to look like?
No.
Okay. Well, they used to be crappy. Okay. Right. It was just a block of text with a picture and a link to the website. A block of text, picture, link to the website. And so what we did back in March is I kind of sat down with the gang and said, we're going to make these phenomenal. We're going to make it so people can't wait to read them every single day. And they're only going to have a couple of ads. And back in March, we had about 150,000 subscribers. And now we have over 600,000 subscribers in just 6 months. And in order to continue that growth, because you can only tap into your existing audience only so much, right? Mm-hmm. Is that you have to start branching out. And so what we have been doing over the last 30 days is buying ads on social media to spark people to sign up for the newsletters and to engage further with the brand. And the results are very promising. And we are finding a lot of people converting to following the pages and also subscribing to the newsletters. And now, in order for you to do this, and what I'm talking about is really targeted advertising, okay? Where you find audiences like these 60 to 70 people, and then you're going to say, you're going to like this. And I'll tell you, we'll talk about the ads in just a second. But before you can do this is that you have to do what's called the customer lifetime value, the CLV. And there are different places online, David, that you can figure out what your CLV is. And what this tells you is how much a customer is worth it to you. So before we start talking about advertising, we need to know how much that customer is worth to you. Mm-hmm. So that this way, when you go to buy ads, you can say, I'm only going to spend $1.20 per customer and my lifetime value of this customer is $5, so you can see I'm making money. A lot of people don't do this. They just say, "Oh, we're going to run Facebook ads, or Instagram ads, or Twitter ads," but you have to make sure that you're not doing it and you're losing money. It has to be a win-win proposition. Mm-hmm. And so, as we've been doing this, I will tell you that it's been very successful. And an open rate on a newsletter, if you can get over 30%, it's good. The open rate on people that we're getting from Facebook and Instagram in a targeted fashion, the open rate is 75%.
Wow. Okay.
So it does work. But again, you need to make sure that you know what's called the CLV, the current lifetime value, customer lifetime value of whoever your viewer is. And then you have to come up with audience segments, and it's based on their age, their demographic, their interests, their behaviors. So that's where you kind of have to sit down and say, okay, what do I think my customer looks like? Who are they? And then that's where you can refine that down to the zip code and how much money they make and all these other different, even their political orientation if you wanted, and start finding more people that would be interested in your programming. The other thing, too, is that with the ads is that you have to test various ads. Right now, text-based ads are working as well as short video ads.
Okay.
And then also start with your Facebook posts. Start looking at, and your other social media posts, start doing things differently. So if you're always posting, like you said, a short video with a link to go watch, maybe it's a meme. If you look at my Facebook page, I post a meme every single day. You can steal that idea from me. The reason why is because then that reaches other people because people love to share funny stuff.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so think of something that works with you. You can start doing polls, quizzes, make it all interactive. And but again, you could collaborate with other brands. But a lot of this, what I have found is that when I wanted to drive customers, eyeballs directly to a free newsletter, no matter how much I put it on my Facebook page, is that it didn't reach new eyeballs. And
we get research overnight that tells us, the average age of the person who's watching the sex and all that. But then you say to yourself, well, we have those viewers. Let's go out and try to get viewers of other ages and stuff. So we're kind of torn with that too. But we just wanted new pairs of eyes to see because we think what we're doing is novel and great, and everybody seems to dig what we're doing, but there's just the same amount of people see it all the time. So.
Yeah, and that's where you have to break out of the mold. And nobody really likes to pay for anything. I get that. Me too. I mean, I'm like cheapo queeno over here, but I have found that we've had success in Facebook advertising and in Instagram advertising. We're just now trying some Twitter ads. And so take a look at it. It's super easy to set up an account. They have all kinds of tutorials online. And then in addition to that, you can also see on Facebook, I think this is fascinating, that you can see what other ads are on Facebook playing at that particular moment and what the results of those ads are. And so if you have any questions about what you're doing or how you're doing it, just start messing around in that Facebook dashboard. Now, if you have any questions afterwards, just give me a shout back. I'm always here for you. Thank you, David. Another thing that you might want to do is start going into the online communities like Reddit or Quora or these niche forums that may be related to whatever content that you are broadcasting on your TV network. So this way you can introduce your brand to folks who may not have discovered you through traditional social media channels. All right, so you've got all your work stuff and then you have all the personal stuff and you're putting it on one machine, whether it's a laptop or maybe you're still on a desktop. So what you want to do is you want to separate it. And you can separate work from home programs by using multiple desktops. Now, both Mac and Windows, these virtual desktops are just a few clicks away. But let's just back up just a little bit. What exactly is a desktop? Okay. It's your browser, your apps, your programs, and then you can switch from one setup to the other setup. So if you want to play a game, you can easily switch to your personal setup. If you want to check your work email, obviously you're going to go to your work setup. So these multiple desktops are really easy to use. Microsoft calls it, again, multiple desktops. Wow, sometimes things do make sense in Microsoft land. And switching it is super easy. What you're going to do is just go to the task view button and then click plus new desktop in the top left of the screen. Now on Mac, they call it not multiple desktop, they call it spaces. And again, it's super easy to do that. You go into the mission control dashboard by pressing control up and then you swipe up. I know there's a lot of steps to this and it's really hard to keep track of them when you're just listening, especially if you're driving. So that's why we wrote everything up for you in great detail that you can get to right now by heading over to commando.com. And when you're there, hit that Show Picks button right on the homepage. That's commando.com, Show Picks. Lance in Knoxville, Tennessee. Hello there, Lance.
Well, I was having some trouble. My wife's Google picture account was full up and wouldn't let her download any email anymore.
Okay.
Because she had it full of pictures. So I managed to learn how to download all her pictures onto a thumb drive on my computer.
Wow.
And that was took about half a day. I had to do it at 500 pictures at a time, and got that done on there. And the thumb drive has a C connection, and so I went, oh great, got all the pictures here. Now she can do it. I stuck it in her phone, and the phone doesn't recognize the thumb drive.
Okay,
can't see the pictures from her phone. Did I do something wrong, or is it just not compatible to that?
It's pretty hard to say from here, but let's talk about the pictures. Okay, are the pictures still up in Google Photos?
After I downloaded them all, I deleted the pictures so that she can access her emails.
Okay, so the only copies of the pictures are on this thumb drive.
Right.
Ooh. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put you on hold. And then we're going to give you an address to get a free account inside the Commando community. The Commando community is a place where a lot of people get this show as a podcast, commercial free. You can watch the show. There are videos, but there's also this really busy message board, and we call it the Q&A forum. And so it's where people like you that have pretty much, it's just more of a tech support question where I kind of have to go through, ask you some more questions, and then give you some steps to try. That when we try to put these calls on a national radio show or big time podcast, is that it gets kind of boring for everybody else to listen because they don't care that you can't get to your pictures. I know you do and I do, but they don't. Okay?
Gotcha.
So what we do is we can put this question inside the Q&A forum, and then you know what happens? Either I work the boards, I'll come in and answer some questions, but we also have John, and John is my IT genius. Okay, he's mine. You can't have him. Okay, but I will loan him to you from time to time. I mean, okay. John knows everything. He does. Okay, and he can figure all things out. And let me tell you something else about John. He knows every single one of my passwords.
He's trustworthy, huh?
1,000%. I mean, every single one of my passwords. I mean, it's just, so we're going to help you out there. So where you can leave your question there, and then we have a team of experts, including John, who will kind of walk you through, say, okay, let's try this, let's do that. Maybe you need an adapter, so.
Right.
Okay. But you should never put all your pictures on a thumb drive. Never, ever.
Yeah, there was no other option to that. Well, it's actually, I have them on my computer in zip files, and then I transfer them from zip files to a thumb drive. So
you still have a copy
on two different sources.
Okay, yes. Good. All right, because thumb drives are they're notorious for losing data. So we never want to trust important stuff on a thumb drive. So Lance, as I mentioned, I'm going to put you on hold, and for everybody else, in case you want to try the Commando community, you get 30 days free. Head over to commando.com/community. You can go to community.commando.com too, and you can sign up there. And as I mentioned, everybody gets 30 days free. And after that, you know what? I think we give discounts to everybody in the universe too. I mean, so if you're a senior, if you're service personnel, you're military, retired, a vet, whatever it may be, I think everybody gets a discount. So again, that's over inside the Commando community. And again, community.commando.com to sign up. And Lance, thank you for your call. Hey, speaking of the Commando community, just want to remind you that you can get a 30-day free trial. And after that, it's just a few bucks a month. The 30-day free trial allows you to use the entire community. We don't lock down certain areas like other websites do. And after that, as I mentioned, it's just a few dollars a month. We have discounts for everybody, too. We do. Seniors, military, police, fire, service personnel, students, you name it. Everybody gets a discount. And again, that's the Commando community. Just head over to commando.com and hit the button that says community. I recently read a really disturbing Mother Jones report. A woman in Milwaukee went on a date with a guy that she met on Match.com. She woke up confused the next morning, not remembering what happened. Her car was gone. There were about $800 in charges on her debit card, and she was probably drugged. Now, the man is a person of interest in a murder case. A 21-year-old named Laura matched with a guy on Bumble and Tinder. She rejected him. He went off the rails. He wasn't the hot 22-year-old his profile showed. He was actually a 55-year-old registered sex offender. So I don't mean to scare you or your loved ones, but I want you to be a smart online dater. I want you to video chat. Yes, you have to video chat. Don't just be chatting online, okay? You want to look for verified profiles too. Any photos that are there, make sure that you do a reverse image search over at Google. Do not talk only in the app. Again, you want a video. And if somebody says, we want you to talk outside of an app and a messaging app, no, you always want to stay in that app. And always bring a friend with you on your first date. You want to make sure that you guys and gals are always safe because I really, really care about you. And if you have any questions about dating online, always love to get your questions. Head over to commando.com and drop it right there under the button that says Email Kim. And be sure to tell 3 friends about the Kim Komando Show because you know knowledge is power.
Here is hour 3.
I always like to kick things off with something interesting. And who here has a fake profile on Facebook to spy on what their ex is doing? Okay. For whatever reason that you have multiple Facebook accounts, maybe you want to separate your work friends from your real friends in your private life. And switching between them has always been a hassle because you have to log in, get into another account, and then you got to type in another password. Those days are over. Yes, much like Google, Facebook will now let you flip between your different accounts. You can have up to 4 different accounts attached to one Facebook profile. And then once they're all set up, you just tap your profile picture and then you're able to seamlessly switch. In other news, Facebook is about to release their own artificial intelligence-driven email application. I don't know if you've heard about this. Emails will be automatically flagged as marked as read. Oh, that was a good one. That was, get it, like Mark Zuckerberg, read privacy. You don't have any. All right. If you had to explain it, it wasn't that good after all. You're probably right. Hey, listen, you're about ready to get more tech smarts because every single thing is now a tech thing. I am, of course, Kim Komando, your digital goddess here. It's the biggest show. It's the best show. It's the most trusted show. It's an award-winning show about all things digital. And if it's your first time tuning in, welcome aboard. And if you've been here before, it's always nice to see a familiar face. Now, you can find my show on over 420 top stations throughout the United States. We're streaming in your favorite radio app. Just search for my last name, Komando. And you can find us as a podcast, as a webcast, commercial free. Over at commando.com, just hit that button that says Komando Community. And a special hello goes out to all of our listeners in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marine Corps, the Space Force, and the Coast Guard in 175 different countries who are joining us on the American Forces Network Radio. And I just know that you have at least a few questions about something digital I can lend a hand to. And our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. And if you're just too shy to come on the show, I get that. You can drop me your questions over on our website. That's commando.com. There's a button that says Email Kim. All right, you can count on me to check out at least 35 different websites to make sure that you and I are both up to date on what's going on in the tech world. And here are the 5 things that you need to know right now, starting with number 1. I'm going to tell you about a gentleman by the name of Philip Paxson. He was an all-around great guy from everything I read about him. He's a veteran, he's a husband, and most of all, a proud father of 2 young girls. Now, after a long day of celebrating his daughter's 9th birthday party in 2022, he used Google Maps to guide him back to his home in Hickory, North Carolina. And Google Maps told him to go over the Stone Creek Bridge. Now, he had recently moved from Florida. He didn't really know a lot about the area yet, but it was known to everybody else in that area that Snow Creek Bridge had collapsed in 2013, and it was never repaired. Now, Philip didn't know this, so he plugged in Google Maps, how do I get home? And he trusted Google Maps, and he drove his car off the collapsed bridge, and he died shortly thereafter. Now, there was no way that Philip would have known not to cross by looking. It was pitch black, 11 p.m. There's no lights in the area. On top of that, it was raining. So Google was notified several times about the danger. Wow. Never updated Google Maps. And of course, the family is suing for negligence. Isn't that just a horrible story? Moving on to number 2. Let's talk about Amazon. They're adding 250,000 workers for the holidays. Yeah, that's right. They say it's going to be their biggest holiday season ever. Jeez. Can they get any bigger? Oh, great. So they're hiring 250,000 folks to handle the holiday rush. Last year, they hired 150,000. The average hourly wage for warehouse and delivery jobs is now $20.50 an hour. They also announced this past week something called Just Walk Out. That's Amazon's new retail tech. Lets you skip the line legally. RFID tags keep track of the stuff that you leave the store with, and then your credit card on file is automatically charged. I think that's pretty sweet. I mean, no more of that self-checkout. God, who wants to do that anyway? It's testing in Seattle right now. Number 3, it's fall, and that means new product announcements. We have Apple, we have Amazon's new announcements, and now Microsoft came out. And here's some things that they are going to be pitching us. Copilot AI. Going to be built right into Windows. So your Windows is going to have AI whether you want it or not. The Verge said at the Copilot scanning a long email, it tackled a math problem just by circling on the screen with a stylus. Now, it's not new. There's also a bot that they're rolling out called Microsoft 365 Chat. They say it can scan through your entire work life. Wow. All your emails, your text messages, your files, your meeting notes, your invites, and then give you like cliff notes on everything that's going on in your life. Wow, that's something. Also, they had the Surface Pro Laptop Go 3, and they look just about the same. And I know what you're thinking, Kim. You're super excited about all these Microsoft products, but the day that Microsoft makes a product that doesn't suck is when they're going to start making the Microsoft vacuum cleaner. Yeah, I know. Moving on to number 4. I told you so. I hate to say that, but I told you so. Let's go back in time. Let's go back in time to NFTs. You know what that stands for? Non-fungible token, right? Basically refers to interchangeable goods. You could have a digital version of the Mona Lisa or something like that. And everybody was just like going crazy for these NFTs a year ago. Remember the 9 cat meme? The one with the cat shaped like a Pop-Tart that just flew in the stars? It was sold as an NFT for $830,000. Fast forward today, hardly worth anything, right? Less than 1% of NFTs have a price tag over $6,000. So if you wasted money on an NFT, I'm sorry to tell you, you ain't got anything. And finally, this coming in at number 5, let's talk about drones and bears and national parks. Okay, there are some things that you cannot do with drones, okay, especially if it impacts wildlife. It's illegal to use a drone within the boundaries of a national park, and getting within 50 yards of wildlife is just against the rules. Well, a wildlife photographer taking photos in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park shared a video of one jerk breaking a lot of laws. The drone pilot chased a scared bear out of a tree. I watched the video. You can see how frightened the bear is, okay? And the bear was really high up in the tree. If the bear fell, it would have died. I'll tell you, I couldn't bear to watch this video more than once. So if you are a drone pilot, don't go near the wildlife. Just don't do that. I mean, it reminds me of this joke. A bear walks into a bar and says, "Give me a whiskey and a cola." And the bartender says, "Why the big paws?" And the bear says, "I'm not sure. I was born with them." Get it? All right. Sorry. All right, folks, I want you to meet Michaela. Okay, she's not just a film fanatic and a single mom in Kentucky, but she's also being pretty brave because she's going to share that she fell for a celebrity romance scam online. And it starts like this. Michaela just loves photography and filmmaking, so she headed over to an online forum where she just wanted to meet folks like her and wanted to work on creative projects. But things took this wild turn when she got a message from someone claiming to be Dacre Montgomery. Okay. Who is that? Well, you may know him as the actor behind Billy from Stranger Things. Yeah, that wildly popular show. And he just happens to be Michaela's favorite actor. So we all have our favorite stars, but just imagine one just sliding into your DMs. So Michaela, thanks so much for being here. And as I mentioned, you're pretty brave because a lot of folks will be like, oh, I don't want to tell my story. But take us back to those first messages. I mean, what were they like? And how did this person earn your trust?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. Second of all, it's not like he was just Johnny Depp trying to slide into my DMs. But the first messages were very unsuspecting. As you said, I was on a forum. I was trying to look for hobby projects, something to kind of get some experience under my belt. Because I am going to school for, film and TV work. And there was a forum, and I was trying to, connect with like-minded people. And I had a few people that had messaged me, and I was talking to them. And then this one account messaged me, and we started talking, and we started to become friends. And it was just mainly messages like how you would get to know someone, like, oh, well, what got you into film? What got you into TV? What got you into watching stuff that you would do to try to get, to know someone. Mm-hmm. And then as we got deeper into the connection, the relationship, he was like, well, can I confess something to you? Oh. And I was like, well, yeah, I guess. And that's when he just, dropped a bombshell on me saying, oh, well, I'm Dacre Montgomery.
Oh, okay. Now, you've only been chatting up to this point, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then was there anything in any of these chats where you were like, I'm not sure if this is Dacre Montgomery, or then like, no, this is Dacre?
Oh, I was absolutely suspicious from the get-go. Like, there were, it was no doubt like just, oh, this cannot be him,
So this guy's coming along and you're just chatting it up and you're feeling pretty close to him. And then he's telling you some pretty intimate personal stories. And then when does it turn into, ooh, this might be a scam?
Well, I started to get suspicious of the scam part when he first came up to me saying, hey, I know you donate to things, which I do. I like to, take some extra money of mine and donate it when I can. And he said, hey, if you have anything extra, he was like, I contribute to this, charity. And it was like Children's Network Hospital or something like that, which I know that he has done in the past because there's been video and things like that of him in LA doing that project. And I thought, well, you know what? Yeah, that might be legit, So I donated, and that didn't seem, too far-fetched. Mm-hmm. But then he came up to me with a mining scheme, and that's for Bitcoin.
Okay.
And that's when I started to really say, hey, maybe this is a little weird.
So did he ask you to invest in a new type of cryptocurrency or some type of new app?
It wasn't a new type of crypto. It was Bitcoin.
Okay.
Basically, he said anything you put in, I'll match. And so he did. But then somewhere it turned into, all of a sudden I was putting in 500 and 800 and, and it felt like every other day, but I wasn't getting anything back.
So where did you put this money into Bitcoin? Did he tell you to download a specific app?
No, it was actually mostly through Bitcoin ATMs, which I didn't even know existed until he started, getting me into it.
So how much in total did you put into this Bitcoin ATM?
Well, the Bitcoin itself was about 3,000.
Mm-hmm. And then what was Dacre like kind of just egging you on, telling you keep doing this?
Oh, yeah. It was, if you keep putting in, eventually it's going to pay off. But then eventually when I, started to ask questions, he said it was paid off because of fees and everything. But I never got anything back from it. And of course, he told me, oh, well, the guy that, was mining for you, he took the money and ran. Oh, gosh. And I was just like, oh, that's just typical. But at the time, it's like I guess you could say I was infatuated with him at that point. It wasn't just the money. It was getting to talk to somebody that I cared about.
So how did you get out? How did you get yourself out of this entire mess?
Basically, he went MIA for 115 days. And during that 115 days, I had a lot of time to sit and think.
So,
yeah.
So he came back after 115 days, and did he ask you for more money?
He didn't ask me for more money. He didn't ask me for anything. It was almost like an addict getting out of rehab and then immediately relapsing.
Oh, okay.
Because when he came back after that 115 days, I was, extremely upset with him. And I said, I want to know, are we still pretending? And he was like, pretending what? And I was like, who you are and what you're doing. And he was like, there's nothing to pretend. Who do you think you're talking to? And I said, I know you know who you think, who you say that you are, who you want me to think you are. But I don't think that is who you are. And I was like, and even if it was, you would be a terrible human because I sat here for 115 days counting the days.
So, Michaela, there are a lot of people out there who are listening right now, and they might be in the same path. What advice can you give them to help them not fall for these type of characters?
I would say, unless they can video chat, don't send anything. And if you've already sent something, stop sending it. Even if they do video chat, it's one of those things, if they do love you and they do give you that sob story, and even if they're legit, if they give you a sob story and you do everything that you can to help them and they don't get out, they ain't it.
Yeah, unfortunately, the scammers are of the type where they know how to psychologically manipulate people. They know what levers to push. They know what greed can make somebody do, what love will make somebody do. But there are just too many scammers out there, folks. Just too many. Michaela, thank you for telling your story. And I'm very hopeful that we've just helped a lot of people who may be in the same boat. I'm telling you, folks, you have to be smart. The scammers are everywhere online. You got to use your noggin. If it just doesn't make sense, it doesn't feel good in your gut, it's just wrong. All right, let's talk about your apps. Are your apps listening to everything that you say? Well, as it turns out, there's a hidden list right in your smartphone that will tell you if they are, and also there's a way to make them stop listening. So when you install an app, do you ever read the terms and conditions? Nobody does. Well, in that legal mumbo jumbo, you could have just said, sure, you can go ahead and listen in my phone's mic, and you can collect all that my data, and you can sell all my data to anybody who you want. Well, if you're on an iPhone, open your settings, go to privacy and security, and then tap microphone. Okay, this pulls up a list of all the apps that are using your microphone at that very moment. Okay, what you want to do is toggle off the apps you don't want picking up any conversations. Now, for all of our Team Android folks, you're going to head into your settings menu. And inside there, you're going to want to find the apps permission manager. And just like I talked about with iPhone folks, you just disable the microphone for any apps that shouldn't be using it. I bet you're going to be shocked. I get the emails and I get the questions here all the time. Kim, I just know that I have the next American novel right inside my head. If only I could get it down somewhere inside my laptop or my computer or my tablet. Okay, well, you don't need to go ahead and sit there and type. You don't need to buy anything extra. A lot of people don't realize that inside Microsoft Word and inside Google Docs, you can actually dictate that novel. Oh, yes, it's a secret you're going to love. And then later on, before you get rid of a printer, is it actually storing all your secrets? You may be surprised. Now, I have to tell you a little personal story that, as many of you may have heard me talk about here on the show, is that I have been moving into my brand new house that has taken 6 long years to build. Okay, I would never do it again. And joining us here on the show is our amazing content queen, Allie Seligman. And let me tell you something, Allie. When you have to move in a house and you've had stuff, I'm talking about like stuff in pods for years that you haven't seen, okay? You're like, why did I save that? I haven't missed it. Or what's really great, see this black blouse and these pants?
Brand new to you.
I know. I haven't seen them. I'm like, wow. And what's really great is that everything still fits, which is like a whole nother thing, which
Good
is
for
nice
you.
when you don't do that.
Love that.
But what's interesting is that I've been finding a lot of stuff of Ian's over the year.
Oh.
And so it's actually very heartwarming. And so I found like his Mother's Day booklet that he did in kindergarten.
Oh, how cute.
And what's also, and I actually FaceTime him. I said, I want you to notice something. So he's like, so I'm going through page by page. And I noticed, I said, both of us have big smiles on our faces. Mm-hmm. And like we're holding hands. And like I have like 3 fingers,
It's just like AI.
Yeah, exactly. And then, but he's like, I love you because you're my mother and you make me dinner and you tuck me in at bed and we say our prayers and we go to, every day it's something new. Okay. But there was one page in particular in his, I think it was his first or second grade Mother's Day book. Okay. So you get through all the nice things about mom.
Uh-oh.
And then he says, I know my mother means good things, but I wish that she would stop telling me to play Xbox. Okay. And it had a picture of me. Now we're because we're getting older.
Yeah.
Okay. Picture of me standing there, like pointing my finger at him with this bubble above my head that says, "Stop, Ian. Stop. No more Xbox for you."
And that's when everyone in Ian's class learned what a mean mom you are.
I was such a mean mom.
So mean.
It was awful. So we have clutter in our lives.
Yes.
Okay? And now, but we also have digital clutter, and you're going to help us get rid of that.
I sure am. Let's try to put moving aside. Think about like your normal life when you're not in the middle of moving. Do you think your digital space or your physical space is more cluttered? In general, for me, before I did my move, it depends upon the person. Okay? Oh, for sure.
Okay.
But I'm asking you.
For me, probably my digital space is more cluttered. And just when you were thinking about that, I was thinking of my sister, Christine. She's wonderful. She is. Okay.
But.
Okay. She is. She's wonderful. The woman says the rosary every morning, every night. Honest to God. And she helps kids with learning disabilities and she changes their lives and all this other stuff.
Get to the bad part.
Okay. She comes over and she's like, "Can you help me?" And she brings over her MacBook. Okay. The woman must have 3,000 files on her desktop.
You couldn't see the background?
No, you can't. I'm like, is there a background here?
Yeah.
No. So it depends on the person.
Well, and there are different levels of clutter, right? That we can take both in our homes, in our lives, and then on our stuff. Yeah, I can't take 3,000 things on my desktop. Christine can. Good for her.
That's right.
There was a study, Secure Data Recovery did this, about 2,000 people, and 1/3 said that their digital space is messier than their house, which I guess makes sense, right? We have to do the dishes or things are going to get gross. We have to do our laundry. You can squirrel away a lot of stuff on your computer and never deal with it. So if you are feeling that overwhelmed feeling of like, oh man, there are so many files, so many programs I need to update. My desktop is cluttered. My recycle bin's full. I've got 7 different windows full of tabs open. I don't even know what to do here, Ellie. Okay. First order business, close your browser, friend. You don't need all those tabs. I bet that you won't miss them. It's like Kim in the Pod, right?
Yes.
You're never going to miss them.
I know. And it's, you kind of sit there and you're like, do I keep it? Do I keep it?
Oh, no, Kim. If it was in the pod that long and you weren't pumped to see it, get rid of it.
Yeah. No, you know what? I didn't ask you. What does your desktop look like?
Well, I have a little trick that I will give in a minute that generally my desktop is good. I cycle through. I get to a point where it's too much. I'm like the person that never cleans out her closet. And then when I do, I have to explode the whole room to clean the closet. Okay. But then it's perfect.
Because you're just like, we're just going to say the amazing content queen. We'll just call you like perfect Allie.
Oh, shush.
Just perfect.
No, we're not going to call me that.
Okay, I cook, I clean, I take care of my husband, I garden. Yes.
I don't garden. Okay, what should you get rid of? How should you think about this stuff? Kind of the no-brainer things, right? I know you can think of them. Screenshots, memes, pictures that you saved from a website randomly and realized, like, why do I have this picture of a dolphin on my desktop? I'm not sure. Get rid of all that stuff because you don't actually want it, right? If it's sitting on your desktop, if you haven't taken the time to put it in a home, you probably don't care about it.
That's true.
If it has a name like unnamed or screenshot, I bet that's even more true. So look for that stuff. Just get rid of it. You'll feel a little lighter. And then you have to think about the stuff that actually matters. Now, here's another question I want you to think about, Kim, for yourself or, you listening. If I got on your computer, wasn't protected by a password, is there something on the desktop you wouldn't want me to see?
Yes.
Okay. Is that a great thing?
No.
Probably not. Because think about it. I put myself in the worst case scenario, right? What if someone stole your laptop, they managed to get into it? Okay, anything there, they got it. They can open it. So you don't want things just sitting around on the open that are private. legal documents, financial records, any kind of financial info, tax documents, anything that has what's called personally identifiable information. So things like your social security number, other identifiers to the government, your address, your birthday, private details, anything with your health patient information, medical records, medical documents. And then if you have a business or maybe side hustle, or maybe you just like to, trademark or invent stuff, things that are like copyrighted, intellectual property, trade secrets. We're not even going to get into HR stuff, legal stuff for work. Don't have that on your personal computer is my advice there. Yes, that should be, safely locked away. But all this stuff, if you have it, don't just leave it sitting there, because imagine that worst case. Imagine that I don't have bad intentions, but I'm going to walk in and log into your computer. You don't want me to see, probably a lot of stuff on your desktop. So,
well, but there are also these situations, okay, that, like, for example, like we have John, our IT genius.
Yep.
Okay. John knows all of my passwords.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, I got embarrassed recently.
Oh, no.
Okay. Because, after he was working on my computer, and then I thought, oh, that probably was like not, probably you shouldn't see your boss. Okay. So what I did is I took a selfie and I was in a bikini. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's like, after he got it, I'm like, that probably should not have been on the desktop.
And that's the PG version, right? Some people have R-rated version of that story, and anybody could come find that on your computer.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's another thing, right? You often have someone else using your machine.
Sorry, John.
Sorry, John. So one way I like to think about where to put this stuff is, I got this analogy. This is from PopSci, and I got to proud of them because it's so good. You have your pocket, your closet, and your basement, the digital versions. So your pocket, that's the stuff that you want right there. You need to access it all the time. Put that in the cloud. Your insurance documents, things that you might just need to pull up on any of your devices at any time. Your closet is the stuff you don't need it all the time, so you don't have to have it right there. Sure, store that on your computer, on your hard drive. And the basement is for the stuff that you just don't need cluttering up your everyday digital life, like your wedding pictures or, just stuff that you keep around, your tax documents from 10 years ago. You don't need to access those easily, right? So those can go on something like an external drive. All this stuff, should probably be on cloud storage, but that's a good way to think about it.
I like that. What was that? What did they come up with? What's that called? What did they do?
Pocket, closet, and basement.
I like that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I like that too.
It is. And so it's a big task, okay, but it's also, some things that you can think of as you're moving forward. I mean, I remember my boss back at IBM once pointed to my desk and it was a complete mess. Okay.
You?
I know. And he said, I remember, he said, his name was Dick, by the way. He said that a cluttered desk is a sign of a cluttered mind. And then I looked at him and I said, well, Dick, your desk is empty. Didn't go over very well. Allie, thanks for being here. Thanks for helping us declutter our lives. And again, that's Allie Seligman. She's our amazing content queen, and give her a round of applause. All right, here's the deal. You don't need to have anything extra to start using your voice to start writing the next great American novel. If you're using Microsoft 365, just go to Home and Dictate. And then if you're using Google Docs, kind of the same thing. Under Tools, it's voice typing. We have all the steps on how to use it over at commando.com. Just use the search box and type in, dictation. Diane in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Hi there. This is an honor to talk to you, Kim, and thank you for advocating for those of us who struggle with technology.
Oh, you betcha.
So we live in a very remote portion of the state. And we are one of the lucky towns that have just started to have fiber. Many of the surrounding communities do not have high-speed internet yet. Now, my husband and I run a very rural animal rescue and foster sanctuary, and we currently have a small, she's not small, she's young, 2-year-old Great Dane who is jumping our 4-foot-high fence and being naughty and running off into our woods, which abut a state forest. So when she takes off, she's gone for a few hours, and we can't access where she is. So if I put an ear tag on her with no one, surrounding us, having high-speed internet, would we be able to track her?
It's probably not if you're in a super rural area. Because see, the AirTags, they not only they don't really work off of cellular as much as they work off of Bluetooth. And so the signal from the AirTag bounces from various Apple devices around it in order to pinpoint a precise location. And so, for example, if I have no cell phone coverage, but I have, I have a Wi-Fi network and I've got an iPhone and I've got an AirTag, then we're going to be able to track down the dog. So that being the case, and is it a big town or is it you said it's a small town?
1,000 people.
Oh, I wouldn't bank on an AirTag. I wouldn't trust an AirTag. If you're going to be looking for any type of device in order to track this dog, that's when you're probably going to be looking at a GPS type collar. And when you start looking at GPS based collars, is that you've got pretty much two names in the industry that come up. One is called Fi, that's Fi, and the other one's called Halo. And these have, I actually have the Fi on my golden retriever, Abby, as well as an AirTag. Just in case. And with the Fi collar is that you can pinpoint her on a map. You can set up geofences. They also have a little bit of a social media profile if you want for your dog, and other dogs can follow your dog. And, it's waterproof, so she can jump in the pool with it. But the big distinction between the two is that with Fi, the battery life is 3 months. And with the Halo collar, it's 24 hours. So who wants to charge this darn thing every 24 hours, right? But because it's GPS based, it can be used in your community. So that's where I'd be looking at something like a Fi collar. Now, of course, if I say GPS and it's a collar and how much it's going to cost, I mean, you can buy 3 months for $54. And it's subscription based, and then of course you got to buy the collar itself. That's about $110, and so that would probably be, if I'm really trying to track a dog in a rural area, and I want to make sure that it doesn't go over the fence, because you can set up a geofence. You know what a geofence is? You know what that is, right?
No.
Okay. A geofence is a virtual fence. So on a map, you would draw a box, and so when the dog goes out of this box on the land, like a virtual, on your property, you draw a box. And then if the dog goes outside that box, you're going to get an automatic text message alert, email, however you set it up.
I see.
So you would know exactly the moment, and exactly where she's located. It's, and dogs, like you said, you have a great rescue operation going there. And, dogs are family. They are. I mean, I love my Abby dog. She's just so funny. If you want to see a great video of Abby, head over to Instagram.com/KimCommando, and you can see, from time to time, I'll look outside and I can't find her. And then I look in the spa and she's like dancing in the spa. This dog is dancing in the spa. It's so crazy. So anyway, again, you want to check out the Fi collar, Diane, and thank you for your call. When you start looking at the Fi collar and other things, you might start seeing something new, a new acronym. It's LTEM. You're like, what the heck is this? LTEM. This is a brand new kind of almost cellular network that's reserved for Internet of Things devices. Again, so it's LTE, then the -M. And again, that's for all this stuff that's internet connected. All right, let's just face it. We print a lot of confidential information, sensitive information. Now, these popular printing products and services, they don't promise to keep private what you're printing. Like, for example, take Canon. Their privacy policy says that they can collect all sorts of stuff from you. Talking about files, images, descriptions, even metadata. What if you use FedEx? Oh my gosh. Okay. Its policy mentions collecting user uploaded information. Okay, what is that? That's everything that you print. Now, what if you're heading over to Staples? They can keep and store personal data, including what they say, copy and print materials. I know what you're thinking. The tracking just never, ever stops. That's why you need to do a complete factory reset, by the way, anytime you sell or get rid of a printer. And we got those steps over on the website, too. Hey, thanks for joining me. Make sure that you give me a great solid and tell 3 friends about the Kim Komando Show, because after all, knowledge is power.